Hey, welcome back to Frank's Model Works. I'm Frank. Week 6, Model Cars and Coffee. Hosted by Left Coast Model Car Builds. Really great idea, Paul. So today, this week, I want to talk to you about one of my personal favorite vehicles. And I know I say I have a lot, you hear me constantly talk about my favorite cars. But these are actually cars that I've owned. In that picture, which I'm going to flash onto the screen now, is my 1996 Bronco that I bought in 2013 with 176,000 miles on it, and I paid $1,000 for it. I loved this truck. It had a 351 in it. The air conditioner was so cold you could hang meat in that truck. I took the back seat out and I transported radio control planes to and from the field, and I actually used it as a daily driver for a while. I didn't have it, unfortunately. I didn't have it very long. My original intention with it was to restore it and try to keep it going. It did have some rust spots, and it was pretty high mileage. But I wanted to keep it going, and the first thing that I did was I replaced every single piece of the brake system on that truck, and that's generally something that I will not do on my own. So I actually bought every single part of the braking system of that vehicle, and I brought it to a mechanic, and I paid the mechanic the labor to put the parts on. And the one part that he did not replace was the rubber hose that went through the fender wall to the passenger front brake caliper, and it had dry rotted. I was going through an intersection, and the car in front of me, we have red light cameras here in Suffolk County, New York. So the light began turning yellow when the car in front of me decided, already in the intersection, I'm stopping right here. So I wasn't going fast. I was going about 10 miles an hour. I hit the brakes, and I got the thing down to about 3 miles an hour, and the brake pedal just went to the floor because the line burst. I tapped the car in front of me. I didn't do a lot of damage, It happens. But it literally was a brake failure. I almost hit the car again when we were pulling over to exchange information, do the police report. That's how bad it was. I towed the car back to my house. My wife was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and in the calm voice that was very prevalent with my wife at the time, when I told her that I rear-ended somebody in the Bronco, she said very calmly, "Get rid of it." So I started calling up places, seeing if anybody wanted it. I called a friend of mine that I worked with who had Broncos, collected them. And I said, "Listen, dude, I will pay to have this thing towed to your house. It's free. It's yours. There's good, solid parts. The motor on that thing was strong. 351. No joke. Dual shock front suspension. Brand new brakes all around." Nobody wanted this thing. And in what was probably the most disgusting period and thing that I did in my life at that time, I junked that car. I got $250 in scrap for it, and I regret that decision. But I had a baby on the way. It's not really something. Priority was having the baby safe and my wife safe, and it's not like that was our only vehicle at the time, but it was the most prudent thing to do was to get rid of it. And I regret it, but that's what happens. Nowadays, I drive that. It's a 2022 Ford Bronco Sport. Now, another one of the vehicles that I've owned a lot of throughout the years is the Ford Escape. I bought my first Ford Escape in 2004. It was a really nice truck. V6, all-wheel drive. Problem was the mileage on it was abysmal. And we had just moved out to Long Island, but we're still commuting every day to Brooklyn to go to work. 120 miles a day on that car, and if it was getting 20 miles to the gallon, it was a lot. We were spending a lot of money on gas. So a year later, we traded the 2004 Escape in for the hybrid that just came out, and it almost doubled the mileage miles per gallon that we got. So, and we got like a $5,000 tax credit. It was a good deal. It was a good truck. But I always liked the Escape. When my son started driving, we bought him a 1997 Mercury Grand Marquis, and I liked the way it drove, so I let him take the Escape, and I drove the Grand Marquis, and my son wrapped the Escape around the pole, and it's just one of those things. So, but I always liked the idea of a little truck, all-wheel drive, get you home in the snow without a worry. You know what I mean? Like that was my primary concern. Good on gas. When these came out in 2021, I had my eye on them. I went to look at the full-size one, the bigger one, and at the time they were tacking $15,000 to $20,000 onto the sticker price of the full-size Broncos, and I just, no thank you. At the time, I was trading out of a 2018 Ford Explorer Platinum, so I was doing all right. This is 2022, like the top of the trade-in bubble. I did pretty well. I moved into this, and I love this vehicle. My commute now to work is 8 miles round trip. So I put gas in this about every month and a half. No one's allowed to eat it. It looks like this. It's almost 3 years old. It has 9,700 miles. I used to put that on a car almost a month and a half, maybe. And now this thing's almost 3 years old, and I have that kind. So I'm happy. I'm like happy as a clam with this. But that's my segue. Me being long-winded. Imagine it's my long-winded segue into models of Broncos. And of late, we have gotten quite a few models of Broncos. So let's take a look at a few. Naturally, we're going to look at this one. A lot of folks are familiar with this kit. Revell came out with this one about 5-6 years ago. Excellent kit. Very well supported by the aftermarket. You see them everywhere. Ever since these came out, you're going to see 3 or 4 of them on the tables at any show you go to. It's a very popular kit. Everybody seems to really like it. And there's variations. The second version of that Revell released was this one, the Baja Bronco, with the race suspension, the branding. Let me make sure I get the Bill Stroppy. Just want to pronounce it right. Another one, really great. And you see people building the new kit that I'm going to show you of the 2021 Bronco in this flavor. So that's something for you all to keep in mind and put on your list of to-do. Next up, the next time we saw the Revell first generation Bronco was this. The half cab with the trailer and this 1/24 scale Baja buggy. Well received. There was the usual chatter of the mismatch in scale, but I mean, come on, it's a dune buggy, folks. What are you know what I mean? Then, most recently, actually within the past couple of months, this is a standalone kit with the half cab. So, I haven't even cracked this open to look at it yet. It's still got the seal on it. But generally speaking, if I see a kit of a Bronco, it's like Thunderbirds with me. I'll grab it. I have several versions of the 1/24 scale monogram kit. They just buried. I couldn't get to them. I even have the one that came with like the bass fishing boat. That's back there somewhere. Sorry. So that's the first generation. The next generation of Bronco was based on the F100 series. And that would have been this kit from AMT, very recently released, the Wild Hoss. I believe this is a 78, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like a 78-ish, somewhere in there. The body style, I believe, with this version, I believe started 75, 76. I'll check on that. And then I'll put a bubble over here calling me stupid if I'm wrong, which I probably am. But then after that, we had the Bullnose 82 through 86. After 86, you had the arrow nose, the flat nosed. That was the that version of the F-150, and the Bronco had the arrow headlights on it. And that body style lasted until 1991. It's not really represented in kit form. You could, if you really wanted to, if you were so inclined, you could probably replicate one using a monogram, the monogram kits with the 1987 dually, the F-250, F-350. About that, while not specifically mentioned, there was an article by my modeling hero, Tim Kalankowitz, in the issue number 221 of Model Cars Magazine. If you're not a subscriber to Model Cars Magazine, I highly recommend that you subscribe. At least go to your local hobby shop or go someplace that does sell it and buy it every time it comes out. It's great. It's a great product. A lot of great authors in there, great material, but specifically in issue 221, Tim shows you how he's not just the guy's not just a great custom builder. That's a stock one right there. That's a 1992 to 1996 Bronco. He tells you how to make it using kits that you can they're fairly readily available. And I'm actually going to do that to replicate my 1996 Bronco. So finally, we have this. This is the one. This is the 2021 two-door version of the new Ford Bronco. This was the one that, when I was buying the Bronco Sport in 2022, they wanted, even for 22, the only thing they had left on the lot from 2021 were demo models that they weren't allowed to sell until like April of 2022. And the guys were like, yeah, those are already $25,000 over sticker price. Plus, it's New York, so you're going to get robbed anyway. But I saw like a nice base model, black, full-size Bronco, 4-door, no frills. Sticker price was $35,000, I think. And the salesman looked me right in the face. He goes, "No, we're not letting that go for less than 45." I go, "Really?" I said, "Even with the trade?" He goes, "Man, okay." So, and I wound up with the Sport, and I'm happy with it. Even with the 3-cylinder, that thing could get up and get out of its way. I mean, I'm not a big speed demon. I've never even gotten a speeding ticket. 51 years old. That's not too bad. Not bad. But it gets out of its way. It's not sluggish. It's no worse than any of the Escapes that I had. I tell you that right now. With the gearing and those things, they weren't that fast. And I'm not looking for anything that fast. So that's my story on the Ford Bronco and my love affair with it. As always, I got Frizzo's back. I really appreciate Paul for this idea over at Left Coast Model Car Builds. I hope you're all having fun with your 48-hour group builds. And I appreciate your support. And until we speak again, my friends, take care of yourselves and be well.